Hey, welcome back to Apollo City Comics. I'm Brandon.
I'm David, and you switched it up on us.
Did I?
Every intro of the show has always been, "Hey, welcome to Apollo City
Oh,
Comics,"
I said welcome
and this
back,
one
huh?
was, "Hey, welcome back to Apollo City Comics." You know what? It's evolution. It's
Yeah.
evolution.
This is episode like 31 or something. So we've made
Something.
strides. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a
This is,
bit now.
yeah. If you've listened this far, well, thank you first off.
Yeah, if you've listened to all 30 episodes, my hat's off to you.
Yeah.
If you got through that before Watchmen stuff we threw into real early on, man, you got loyalty. I appreciate that.
We got to make t-shirts for I survived the Watchmen episodes.
Jeez.
Well, today, man, this was an epic time in our lives because it's something that's pretty much it's existed since before we were born, but this particular segment has taken over half of our lives, David. We're talking about Star Wars: The Clone Wars
Ooh.
animated series. Man, it started what in 2003, I want to say.
Yeah, Star Wars Clone Wars came out in, and I have the IMDb pulled up on my phone. Actually, no, it's not or you're talking about the movie Clone Wars?
Oh no, I was thinking of the series actually.
Oh,
I'm
the
not too
series
sure.
is 2008. The
Really?
series is actually much later, yeah. So the
Okay.
series is after the prequels have been wrapped up in its entirety.
So you know what? When did Star Wars Clone Wars come out?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so just to clarify right off the bat, we're talking about the current show that just ended on this episode, which has Ahsoka, which is the easiest way to distinguish them. What Brandon is referencing is Star Wars Clone Wars. It's missing the. That's the important part. That's 2003. And Attack of the Clones came out in 2002.
Oh
So
wow.
and just to touch on this really quick, because I'm glad you brought this up. I actually just rewatched these like 2 nights ago. Star Wars Clone Wars is by Gendy Tartakovsky, who's the gentleman behind Samurai Jack.
Yes.
And when you watch this, you can see the similarity in art style and the way the action is. If you like that really silently shot, but also like quick actions, like Tartakovsky really, and his name is so Russian, but he's just this average looking white guy. I saw him in
Really?
the show. He's just some guy who just likes Star Wars. He looks like a Star Wars fan in their 30s.
Oh
You know
my
what I mean?
gosh. That's
It's
not what I
exactly
expected.
that. But anyways, Samurai Jack, it has the styling of like an old martial arts or samurai movie. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Where you always have that scene of like two samurais running at each other in the silent moonlit scene,
And it
and then
highlights on the
slice.
sword, and then
Yeah.
yeah, it depends really heavily on those visuals, those
And then
key pause
at
moments.
the end, you have to wait and see which one got killed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just a classic shot.
One of the bodies
Um,
or heads is gonna slide off
yeah,
to the
something slides
diagonally.
off, right? It's always like a diagonal slide. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But that's how this Star Wars Clone Wars feels, the older one. And just like from a historical aspect, I guess, after Clone Wars came out, these were released as shorts on Cartoon Network.
Yes.
And
They're
it
like
was like,
5-10 minute shorts,
yeah,
maybe.
they're really short. And originally they were planning to make them commercials, but it
Oh
was
wow.
like they needed a little more room to add something. There's not much story in that version of Clone Wars, but I think it's really interesting. I've always enjoyed that one.
Mm.
I think now though that this Star Wars, the Clone Wars, is finished, it's kind of hard to like. This one is obviously better, the one that's ended. You know what I mean?
Oh
It's
yeah.
so long, but there's so much information
Yes,
and
that's what
so much
makes it
Star
great.
Wars lore. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, Star Wars Clone Wars, when it came out, I remember tuning in every Friday night so I could catch that 5-8 minute
Yeah.
segment, and it was so exciting. I think all of them, there's 3 seasons technically,
Yeah.
of that one, but it's all, I think you can watch it all in what, 2 hours, 3 hours?
Yeah, it's about 2 hours long. They're on YouTube, right? You
Okay,
were
yeah,
telling me they're
yeah,
on YouTube.
yeah.
You can also buy them on DVD. They've never been released on Blu-ray, and I don't think they ever will.
I don't think so. I think it's
Now
too small now.
they're now not canon too. You know what I mean? They're
Oh yeah. Well,
they're
it's
washed away.
there's parts of it that I feel like could totally fit in with what we saw in Clone Wars as well. Particularly the first time they see Grievous, and well, not the first time. Well, possibly that too, actually. But when Grievous captures Palpatine, and it segues right into episode 3. That's where like that
Yeah.
final episode takes off. That kind of feels like it could still happen in canon. I don't know if that's ever been disputed though.
That's interesting because in Star Wars, The Clone Wars, with Ahsoka, they mention that moment, but it's never
Yeah,
shown.
exactly.
Whereas in Clone Wars, yeah, we do get that. That's the last episode of Clone Wars, which is actually one of the coolest parts about it,
Oh yeah.
that bridging connection. And also, this marks General Grievous's first appearance is actually in Clone Wars.
Hmm.
So that's the first time anyone saw him. It's funny because his voice isn't right. He's got
Yeah.
a very different voice.
Yeah.
And speaking of voices, I just have to throw this out here immediately. One of my favorite things about Star Wars, The Clone Wars, is that Anakin is not super whiny Hayden
Oh
Christensen.
my gosh. Yes.
The
Yes.
Anakin in The Clone Wars is awesome, and it's like, I wish he was just in the movie. But in Star Wars Clone Wars, the guy they get to voice him sounds just like Hayden Christensen.
It's like the whininess turned up a little
Yeah.
bit, and his
Yeah.
attitude and his smirks. Yeah,
It's an extra
cringy,
whiny
yeah.
Hayden Christensen. Yeah, you're right. And that part of it, I was like, oh, I hate this
Well,
so much.
I hated it, but at the same time, watching it, I feel like the people making that show were just like, we're gonna bash on Anakin and make him look so much worse than he already does.
Maybe it's an intentional dig at him, because at that point it was only Attack of the Clones that Hayden Christensen had ever been, and already he was he was so annoying in that movie.
Oh, so annoying.
I think
It's the
Hayden,
worst one. I feel.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen in that movie is one of the reasons why that's the worst Star Wars movie.
Yes.
Like the Padme Anakin love story that they shovel into Attack of the Clones is unbearable.
Oh, yeah, completely.
so-
That's what kills that entire segment.
Yeah,
Um,
and like people are hating on Last Jedi right now, and a bunch of people are like, it's the worst Star Wars movie. It's like, if you didn't like Last Jedi, that's fine, but you can't say it's worse than Attack of the Clones.
You can't.
Like-
And I will agree to that as a hater of The Last Jedi, as a vivid, powerful anti-Last Jedi. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Jeez.
Well, and, honestly, for me, I still love watching Clone Wars because, I mean, that Mace Windu episode,
Yeah,
oh man, it is just so epic. And there's so
Yeah.
many cool little things. And it's cool, especially like, recently, I think you and me did it for the show, but we were binging all the Star Wars movies. No, I was binging them because I was going to watch it up to Rise of Skywalker.
Oh,
So right
okay.
before it, me and my girlfriend binged everything. And to kind of fill in that little spot between episode 2 and 3, I was like, let's watch Clone Wars because it's 2 hours. And it fills in the entire kind of Clone Wars
Yeah.
saga that goes on. It's a good summary if you just want something
Mhm.
quick to understand what happened. It hits the key points and you have the emotion. You have the things that make Clone Wars epic, space battles, all the battle droids. You have Grievous. You get to see why Grievous got that cough because they used the Force and crushed his chest. Mace
Yeah.
Windu, I think, did it. And I think it segues. I mean, it does segue perfectly into episode 3. So it's a cool thing to check out for sure.
Yeah.
And that
I-
animation, like you said.
I agree with you, especially like if you're trying to marathon Star Wars and you don't want to be like, okay, well now I watched Attack of the Clones, I need to watch 7 seasons of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have that kind of time, I think it's great to bridge it. And also to the original Clone Wars animated's credit, I think that it maintains a more cohesive narrative.
Mhm.
Whereas I love the Clone Wars, but it actually raises a few questions, like its existence.
Yeah.
And I watched Revenge of the Sith after I finished watching the Clone Wars
Oh, cool.
because I was like, well, let's just see how let's wrap it up. And it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. I always hate on the prequels, and Revenge of the Sith I don't think is that great either. A lot of
Oh,
people really
no.
like that one, but there's some parts about it I really do enjoy.
Yeah,
Like-
definitely. It's the better of the 3 for sure. The prequel.
I think so. And part of me though, I don't know, like the pod racing scene in Phantom Menace is a lot of fun. It's almost
Oh,
more
yeah.
fun than anything in Revenge of the Sith. But I like Palpatine's speech in Revenge of the Sith a lot about Darth
Oh,
Plagueis.
yeah.
That's
Mhm.
great stuff. I mean, that guy has such great performances. But before I get way off on another thing, when I watched Revenge of the Sith after watching The Clone Wars, I was just upset because first off, Anakin is so whiny. Like, I know we just went over this, but in Clone Wars, he's so much cooler. Watching Revenge of the Sith, watching him side by side, I'm like, I can't believe this character now.
Yeah,
Because he's
it's-
portrayed so differently in the show. And then also the clones are a big inconsistency. In the Clone Wars, they're really interesting characters, and then when
Yeah,
you watch Revenge of the Sith, they're just like, "Yes, Commander." Like that, they have
yeah,
no
personalities
character.
or anything.
Yeah, but
Um,
I mean, it is great world building. It's just the old Clone Wars feels more seamless. Like everything just feels the same. Like
oh
Anakin is
yeah,
right. They're all the same. One last thing, and we can move on. Sorry, but I thought it was really interesting that the guy who voices Obi-Wan Kenobi is the same in both Clone
yeah,
Wars.
yeah, it is. And
Yeah,
that guy masters the Obi-Wan voice. No
he's
one
so good.
sounds like Ian McGregor. He sounds more like Ian McGregor than Ian McGregor. You know, it's so
Yeah,
great.
yeah. He did a great job. And when you look at his credits, it's like every video game, every Star Wars video game with spoken dialogue, he's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Was
It's
he
so
the
weird.
Obi-Wan in the Obi-Wan Xbox original video game?
He might be, man. I have to look it up.
I'm
I
hoping
know that
not because that one was the Did you ever play that one? Because that was the goofiest of the Obi-Wan voices.
that's the only one I haven't like that's one of the ones I haven't played from that generation. I do know that this guy was like the regular Obi-Wan all the way back to Battlefront 2
Oh
on
wow.
like the old like PS2 Xbox version of it.
Okay, he might be like the episode 2 on type of thing. Because I
Yeah.
remember that voice in the Obi-Wan video game was so overly exaggerated with Ian McGregor's yes, mister. Like it was just
Oh
ridiculous, dude. Like
no.
it was terrible.
Okay,
Um,
I have to check this out now. Like I
yeah,
have
yeah. Look
to.
at some video clips of that
Okay,
game, and you're
I
just
will.
bust up laughing. But that, that leads me to a point that I really noticed with the Clone Wars is that it made us love the characters that we hated, or wanted more of.
Yeah.
Like Padme, dude. Padme was awesome in the Clone Wars. Anakin, awesome in the Clone Wars. They brought back Darth Maul, and they did it so well. I feel didn't overdo his character or underdo him either. They kind of kept him right where he needed to be, and we'll talk about him as well. Um, I think the only character that you hated from the start and you still hated after watching the Clone Wars is Jar Jar.
Jar Jar Binks. I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
there's no
Although
redeeming that guy.
it's the least I've hated him. Just honestly, like Jar Jar in the show is a little more tolerable, but
Oh
still,
yeah.
it's not at the level where I'm now a Jar Jar fan.
Oh yeah, I can't.
That's
I'm never gonna get a Jar Jar
I'm
figure
a,
or something.
yeah, yeah. Unless it's like ironic or something, or you're gonna
Yeah.
destroy it.
It but yeah, 100% with Anakin, dude, he was oh man, so great. I mean,
Mhm.
you get to see his turn. Although I do wish we got to see more of the turn. I know it progressively did it, but just like a hint more would have always been cooler. Kind of like his turn in Clone Wars, that one episode where he has those creatures that he frees and all that. That
Yeah, and when he fights a Ventress,
yeah,
which I
yeah.
thought was interesting that they kept Ventress
Oh, me too.
because
Yeah, she carried off of that
yeah,
cartoon as well.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I think it's such a weird thing about Anakin because in episode 2 we get the thing where he kills all the Tusken Raiders,
Hmm.
and that's terrible, obviously.
Yeah,
But in the back of your head, it's like you understand his revenge. I think it's kind of a relatable, you know what he's doing isn't right, but you can understand like his anger. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But in Clone Wars, he never gets that far again. You know what I
no,
mean?
mm-mm.
Um, and then in Revenge of the Sith, I mean, I guess it's really just his turn is marked by Palpatine manipulating his emotions about Padme.
Yeah,
So what Clone Wars serves as to me, or the Clone Wars, I should say, to make this less confusing, they portray Anakin like you see the entire grooming of Anakin Skywalker.
hmm
Like you see Emperor Palpatine just always being there to, whenever he's frustrated with the Jedi, Palpatine's there to talk to him. Well,
hmm
the Jedi always don't know what they're talking about, or something like that.
yeah. I'm
Um,
surprised they didn't have you. That was your idea, wasn't it?
yeah,
Stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's just like, oh, this guy's so evil. What I also like too is in Star Wars, one of the big criticisms of the prequels is how just none of it really makes sense. Like the trade federations and the
yeah.
separatists, and like who are all these groups and what is their function. But
Hmm.
man, they really dive into how Palpatine has been playing this like 20-year plot and creating all these organizations, knowing that if we pit this group against this group, they're going to have to go to this, and man, like
He
it's a masterful plot.
I mean, Sidious, they really dive into who Sidious was because he's such a mystery, throughout
Mhm.
every single film. You really don't understand how smart, Palpatine and Sidious is at all. Like, you really don't get it. You just know he's the big bad guy behind the scenes. But,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, there's moments like where he's manipulating the Senate and all the planets and the Jedi, and no one suspects it, and it's so flawless. And then you get to see how powerful he is as a Sith. Um, that episode with him versus Darth Maul when they finally meet. Oh
Yeah.
man, the
Yeah,
two lightsabers, like, dude. Oh,
Yeah, Darth Maul and his brother. I mean, maybe this is a good one to talk about. Darth Maul is brought back. I think the most ridiculous part in Clone Wars is the reintroduction of Darth Maul.
yes, yes.
That he's just in some cave and he's crazy now and he has spider legs.
The dialogue wasn't great for those episodes.
Yeah.
It's cool he brought him back, and how I get the point, but they didn't have to do the whole back end spider part. Just give him like the Doctor Freeze spider legs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or give him no legs. Put him in some kind of chair or something. Like he's like
Yeah.
broken or something like that.
Mhm.
But if you can get past that ridiculousness, the rest of the Darth Maul arc is great. He like
Oh yeah.
we learn about the Night Mother and that whole like species really.
Which, dude, not to stray or interrupt you too much. I'm sorry,
No, you're good.
but
You're good. What's up?
that made me want to replay Star Wars Fallen Order, or Jedi Fallen Order, dude. They're a heavy part of the game. Spoilers.
Really, the Night Mothers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and you go to what's that planet? I'm spacing the name of it.
Dathomir?
Dathomir. Yeah, you go there in the game quite a lot, and
Interesting.
yeah. Now I want to replay it because when I got to it, I was like, "This is cool." I kind of have an idea of what these people are about, but now, oh, I am so excited to go back to that and revisit that planet because,
Okay.
dude, you really explore it.
I really need to play it. I haven't. I've been putting it off, and well, I'll talk some more about this on pull list because I just got something else. But it's on my list. It's just with single player games, I'm hesitant to spend the $60. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah,
When I feel like if I wait like 6 months, maybe I'll get the story spoiled, but it'll be like $30 or something.
yeah.
So, but I'm like in such a Star Wars fever right now that I've been like itching for it.
Dude,
I'm
no,
like,
it's
man,
you
I
should.
really want to play Fallen Order right now.
If you remember the joy you had when playing like Jedi Outcast or Jedi Academy or Power Battle, it's like this is back to that joy, dude.
I
This
know,
is the
I know
best.
you were. I knew
The
you
Force
were going to say that.
Unleashed, like that. Remember playing The Force Unleashed for the first time,
Yeah.
and just like, dude, I am just a Jedi destroying stuff with a lightsaber. It's the greatest thing in the world. It's Fallen Order, and it's beautiful. It's so worth it. In fact,
cool.
just stop the podcast. I'm just gonna go play that.
I got the remaster of Jedi Academy on PS4 because my friend got it, and you can play the online works. Like you can do
Really?
4v4 and stuff. So me and my buddy bought it so we can play it. I mean, if you want to hop in, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I have it on PlayStation too. I didn't know that the online, because Battlefront 2, you can't do any of the side stuff, so I didn't think any of them worked.
Yeah, that really bummed me out. But Jedi Academy does. You can do like 4v4 lightsaber battles and stuff, which sounds
Just
awesome.
stop. We should just go.
But man, when I played it again, I was like, this game is clunky.
Oh, so clunky.
It is,
Yeah.
and I bet after playing Fallen Order, especially, it's got to be hard to go back to
yeah.
like.
Well, I was trying to play. Was it Jedi? I think it's Outcast 2, the blue cover one. It has like
yeah,
the
that's Outcast. Jedi. Whatever
Jedi
it is.
Knight Outcast, or Jedi
Yeah.
Knight 2 Outcast, something like that.
The numbers are
and-
all weird.
Dude, that game is so hard now. Like in
Oh, yeah.
gameplay and everything, it's so hard. You have to save it like every 5 seconds.
I feel like I must have cheated a lot when I played it as a kid because there's a code
Yeah.
to restore your health.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
experiencing the same thing in Jet, and I was like, "Man, I must have been using this code like every 5 seconds fighting some of these bosses
Dude,
because
yeah.
the difficulty is ridiculous."
And the gameplay is so rough. The targeting, everything is.
Yeah.
You have to be like an expert gamer, like to get past some of that stuff.
Yeah, shooters from that era just haven't aged very well, and the level design is also really clunky.
Oh yeah,
And everything looks gross. Everything just looks so disgusting now.
and it's all that 2D images with no texture to it, like
yeah,
the doors
it's just,
and everything.
It's like wallpaper. Everything's just wallpaper
Yeah.
on polygons. Yeah, that's pretty rough.
I don't even know how we strayed into this part.
I don't know how we got here either, but let's go back to Darth Maul.
Yeah,
So,
there we go. Yeah.
Darth Maul is a Dathomir. That's where we got there.
Okay. Yeah.
Darth Maul meets his brother, This is another. This one was a little groan inducing. His brother is Savage Opress,
Oh yeah, I know.
like Savage Opress. Like
Yeah.
I'm just glad they didn't go with some weird pronunciation on Maul, like Maul, Darth Maul, to try and hide that they're just putting an evil word in his name.
Yeah.
But the two of them basically put together a crime syndicate by combining a bunch of other crime syndicates and the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
And Black Sun shows up a lot in this too, which I thought was so cool.
Made me so excited to see that species like in there.
Yeah.
So excited.
Right, that stuff's great. But basically, they take over Mandalore. They install like a sham government, and it's because they're becoming so powerful that Sidious shows up and tears through him, man. I mean, I don't want to spoil. I feel like I don't need to spoil stuff, but that fight is so cool, man. Like you were saying, like seeing Sidious with both lightsabers against both of these brothers who aren't Sith anymore, but or something. I don't know what you call them.
I think that's the coolest part about Darth Maul is that he was the one character out of Phantom Menace that we all walked out of saying that, without a doubt, one of the coolest lightsaber fights we've ever seen. And the coolest looking character, but we were all so brokenhearted that he died, you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, a few years passed and there's like Star Wars Tales comics where we learned that he got 2 mechanical legs and goes back to face Obi-Wan on Tatooine, which, spoilers, I heard happens in Rebels. I haven't seen all of Rebels yet, but yeah, I'm super excited for that. But we don't see much of him, so we don't know how he is as a character at all whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And what the Clone Wars did was kind of not give him too much hype and power. Like the hype was already there for Darth Maul, and we already knew how cool he was. But they didn't try to turn him back into like a major Sith character. They didn't really try to make him that huge, powerful being and make him all extraordinary or over exaggerate and then just try to kill him off, you know? They kept him real subtle. Like his lightsaber fights were still kind of clumsy. He wasn't all there and he really focused on the Force, but he had his own path and his own destiny. I feel like his dialogue and everything was awesome after that first couple episodes. It was kind of rough, you know?
Yeah, especially at the beginning because he sounds like so British and like high class.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem quite the same as how he's portrayed in Phantom Menace, so that was a little weird for me.
Yeah.
But they iron that out a little bit. They don't keep him that way the whole time. He becomes more normal, I guess. I don't know what the right word to use is.
I think they really just focus on the warrior aspect of Darth Maul, you know, and that's what works.
To ham it up.
yeah, exactly. And I totally love the character. Like I love how they moved him that way. You know, instead of, I don't know, like Grievous, I feel like was a little over exaggerated at one point. You know, they try to do a lot with him, and he's not that extraordinary of a character.
I think it's kind of interesting that, so like for instance, in the new Star Wars movies, people are like, "What? Snoke didn't even have a backstory. I'm so upset. Like, what is this?" And everyone was all upset about that. Or like, Captain Phasma's not even a real character. Like, why are they even here? Or that you don't even see him or anything. But it's like every trilogy has those characters. Like Darth Maul is the same. Grievous really doesn't have much to do in the movies. He's just like an interesting looking bad guy. And then if you even go back to like the original trilogy, it's like Boba Fett's just there for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, it's the background. It's like Lando, what's his story? You know what I mean? Like Star Wars just kind of has a lot of thin characters for sure.
Oh yeah.
But this one, it really fleshes it out. What I really like about Darth Maul too is that when you watch Solo, his cameo in Solo is like so much more impactful after watching this, because like you learn that he still run crime syndicates. It's just him.
Oh wow, yeah.
You know,
that's
doing
right.
something like I guess by himself now, and he looks so much older. Of course, the question now, is he going to show up in the Obi-Wan show, and how are they going to handle that when the Obi-Wan series comes
I think
out?
they have to. Honestly, like you have to see that lightsaber fight like again, no matter what. No one's gonna get sick of that one.
They should just do a shot for shot of what happens in Rebels and just do it in live action. It would be really cool.
What season does that happen in Rebels?
Rebels is 4 seasons, I think, and it happens in, I don't remember, it's 3 or 4.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's a while for me. I'm barely on season 2 of Rebels. I'll probably start it up now.
That's funny. I'm rewatching Rebels right now, and I'm on season 2 as well.
Well, maybe our next episode's going to be Rebels.
Why not? You know,
Yeah.
I'm down.
I'm down.
I think it's interesting because, like, one thing I have to say in criticism of Star Wars Clone Wars, and it kind of matches in Rebels, I think they both have really slow starts compared to like what you come to expect in the show.
Hmm.
And to explain that a little more, Star Wars Clone Wars, when you watch the first season and really a lot of season two, every episode is just kind of like, here's an adventure from the Clone Wars, and there's not much more other than that.
I,
Like,
th- I think that's because it was so generated towards like, let's get this kid audience to like
yeah,
high pace and everything. But complete agreement. I built a puzzle the first season or so of Clone
yeah,
Wars. It's
there's
really
the,
just to get a feeling and battles and war and stuff like that, and
yeah.
just like that entertaining aspect. But yeah, it's slow. It's super
You,
slow.
you're right though, and it feels a lot like a kids program. It's like check it, tune in this week to see what the gang's up to.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
as the show goes on, they really become just like, because they keep doing it, especially in the later seasons, where an arc will be 4 episodes. So
Yeah.
essentially, you're watching like an hour and a half long movie, like an hour and a half long Star Wars movie,
Hmm.
and that's when the show is just like really intense. And
And
there's some great arcs, man, like ridiculous arcs.
I think that starts with season 2 because the bounty hunter stuff. That's where I know episode 1 of season 2 was written by Paul Dini, who we all love from Batman the Animated Series because he was the main head behind that.
Hmm.
But he did a couple episodes, and that's where we really get more characterization. I forget that blue bounty hunter's name, but he was super cool.
Oh,
Uh,
I know who you're talking about. He's like
it's
one of my favorite characters of.
it starts with a B. I can't even remember it. But yeah, like we get, season 2 starts to get more in depth with story, and you kind of get more involved with the characters. The film, the very first thing that came out by them, is cool, but it's just like one long battle. It's like a really long episode of season 1.
Okay, so well, first off, that character's name is Cad Bane,
Cad Bane,
and
yeah.
then the second thing, this is like a little tiny story about Clone Wars. When I first started watching Clone Wars, I didn't watch it when it was on TV. I watched it maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I was I assumed that the movie Star Wars: The Clone Wars was just like the first 4 episodes clumped together. You know how sometimes they do
Same.
that for animated stuff?
Justice League. That's what happened with that. Their
Yeah.
Justice League movie is like the first 4 episodes.
So I just skipped it, and I've actually never seen it.
Oh, really? Oh.
I still haven't seen it, and I think it's also funny too because that movie was released theatrically, and it's
Really?
technically
Wow.
the only Star Wars movie I've never seen in theaters. Like I just never watched it. At the time, I didn't even. I feel like it didn't make that big of a splash. I don't remember hearing about it when it came out.
Me either. I have no memory of like,
Yeah.
oh man, there's an animated Star Wars movie in theater. I would have been hyped for that. I
And
feel,
we were in
you know.
we were in high school. We were like 14 or 15 when that came out. So it seems weird. It seems like I would have been super down for it at
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah, I
But
totally would have, because I still love Star Wars. Then I don't think Disney owned it
yeah,
then yet either.
no.
Yeah.
That's pretty recent.
Honestly, and you know what? Just to sidetrack a bit more,
Yeah.
but this has ever since Rise of Skywalker because I love that film, and I'm gonna rewatch it to make sure I love
Yeah.
it. Like
I'm a
but
defender of Rise of Skywalker. A bunch of people hate it.
Yeah,
Nah, get outta
lightsabers
here.
out for that. Yeah,
Yeah,
You guys don't know nothing.
lightsabers
But
Everyone
I
just clicked off this video right now.
yeah right. I just got. I gave him a moment for the people that were gonna stay. I really have been on such a Star Wars kick again because
Mhm.
I loved it as a kid. One of my first tattoos was a Star Wars tattoo because I love the characters and I rearranged my comic book room, which is now in my studio because my comic book room got too small. I needed more space.
That's amazing. What a collector thing to say. But that's true. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it's an expansion. But going through all my stuff, I didn't, I'm taking pictures for the Instagram and everything, going through things, and I just forgot how much Star Wars stuff I own. And it's because I hated Star Wars for so long because when Disney bought them out, I was like, I give up. It's trash. And it
Yeah.
really, failed. Losing 1313 and the games they were putting out, it killed me, But because of Rise of Skywalker and this show and, the improvements they've made to Battlefront 2, I've just been
Ooh.
in love with the saga again,
Yeah,
the
man.
universe. It's so great.
I agree, man. My fire's been relit as well. I like that you brought up 1313. That was a big one that I would have loved to play. But I like how in this show they go to 1313. There's
Yes, they
some call
reference
outs to
it.
this thing. Yeah.
And that was, what, season 6 or 7?
I think it was the latest season. It's when
right?
she's with those sisters in season 7.
Oh man.
They go to 1313. I also thought it was really cool. There's a couple of shout outs to other canon in this thing.
Oh yeah.
Delta Squad shows up. The characters from Republic Commando, the
Hmm.
4 clone troopers there. I thought that was awesome. And I'm actually playing that. I never finished it, so I'm kind of playing a lot of it for the first time.
Nice, me
Um,
too.
I,
I was just talking to Sam saying that I'm playing
yeah,
Once I finish KOTOR 2, I'm going back to Clone Commandos because I never
nice
finished
man.
it.
I have it on Xbox, and then it was on a Steam sale for like $4, and I bought it on Steam, and it's just great on PC, man. It is so
Oh
smooth.
wow, I bet.
It is so smooth. I kind of want to play the Xbox version again now, just to compare them, because I am a console player. Don't get mad at me, internet, but um, I don't know. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
I
I'm
do compare and contrast.
maybe we'll finish it by the time we finish Rebels.
We're gonna have to do like some kind of video game Star Wars episode now. It's inevitable. This year's just been Star Wars crazy.
Oh, and I've been playing so much. I'm like 30 hours into KOTOR 2, and I should be
Oof,
wrapping it up soon in a day or so. And gosh, man, I love those games. Those are
it's
just
a delight.
I don't think I ever beat that one either. It's so long.
I don't know if I
So
beat two
long.
either,
I have no memory of what the ending could be.
and I don't own it either. I only have the first one. I'll have to look into that.
It was one of those games I got as a kid with my brother, and we were so excited because it was Star Wars, but we just didn't understand the gameplay. You know, when you're like 11 trying to play a game
Yeah.
like that, you're just lost. You do not get it.
I mean, I played it for the first time when I was like 15, and it took me a long time to like
Yeah.
really understand how it worked because
Yeah.
it feels so different from like. I mean, I guess if you're an old school PC gamer, like playing old school RPGs, then you might understand it better. But
Yeah.
that's really what it is. That whole game is built off like the D&D rulebook. It's just Dungeons and Dragons,
Oh,
and
wow.
all it's doing is just rolling the dice every time you shoot. You know what I mean? Like, did he
Yeah.
make the skill check? Yes, he hit it. Did he do it? And that's, when you look at the character stat screen, it is identical to a D&D handbook.
Really?
So,
Wow. I guess if we pick up D&D like we've been planning to do, I think it's going to be
yeah.
simple now.
Yeah. And I have the Star Wars one too, so we could just,
Oh, just
take
jump
it to
into that.
space. Yeah,
Dude, I'm
it
down.
makes most sense.
Just start it over Zoom meetings. Um,
Hmm,
Also,
bad
you know what?
idea.
I found out. I actually found out minutes before we recorded this that Star Wars: The Clone Wars was going to get canceled very, very early on, like season 1 early on. But because it was so expensive to do the animation and all that type of stuff. But and this is a technique I know that Ralph Bakshi used for like movies like the Lord of the Rings animated movies,
Okay.
for American Pop, for Wizards, stuff like that. But George Lucas handed over cut footage from the first films, and they kind of just traced over those and used those for the battles and a lot of segments to save money on animation. But
Interesting.
I've seen it on the Bakshi stuff because Ralph is really famous for doing that style because it saved him money and time to make films. But I never heard of it in like a CGI type of animation.
I would have never known that. If you hadn't told me right now, I would have never assumed
Yeah,
something like that.
it is insane. Like, and I mean, I'm so glad that George. He actually, I feel like he had a lot to do with the show. Did he not?
I think he had I don't think he had like creative input, but I think that he was like monitoring it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Kind of like
Mhm.
approving and overseeing it, but not necessarily like writing episodes or anything like that.
Yeah, his daughter wrote a lot though. I didn't know that till recently. That
Oh,
his
that's cool.
daughter wrote a good chunk of the episodes. Actually, the first ones that we see Darth Maul and she wrote.
Oh, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what season 4 when Darth
yeah,
Maul shows up. Um, this is such an interesting piece of canon too because this is one of the few things that survived the Great Purge, the real life
uh
Order 66, when Disney took over and said destroy all of the Star Wars EU.
yeah.
But this was going on at that time, so it's both old EU and current EU,
And
which I think is crazy.
it's kind of hard. You know, it doesn't do too many callbacks to the other EU, but
Mm-mm.
it fits so well. Like you wouldn't even notice the hiccup between all that either.
No, I don't think so. Because for the most part, it's a tight story. Ahsoka is really the main character. At the beginning, it's very jumbled. They just follow different Jedis.
Mhm.
Like there'll be a Yoda episode and like a Mace Windu episode, an Obi-Wan episode, but it really becomes Ahsoka's story. Um,
And I must say, I I want more Ahsoka. Like, I want a video game. I want a movie. Like, I want
Yeah,
to see her in the shows. Dude, I have so much respect into the character she grew into by the
right.
end of this. And
And you haven't finished Rebels yet, have you?
no, I'm on
Oh man,
season
dude.
2.
Okay. Oh geez, brace yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
The finale of Rebels is something else, dude. The finale,
Really?
oh, and it's like Ahsoka centered. But
I'm so excited.
I gotta say, Ahsoka's probably the best EU character ever. Like the person who's added the most to the story. And I think it's interesting because when the show starts, I didn't like Ahsoka. She was like an
Yep.
annoying little kid.
Yeah, exactly.
But then
Completely agree.
she gets older, and then you see all the trials she's facing. And the same thing happens to me for Ezra in Rebels. At the beginning, I'm like, ah, man, another annoying little kid.
Yes.
And then Ezra becomes cooler. It's like, it's weird. They really know how to develop a character really well.
Yeah, it is
Um,
great stuff.
mhm.
That her arc and so far, even from what I've seen from Ezra, because at the beginning of season 1, I've only seen one season, but I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Dude, Ahsoka's. I mean, just from what I've seen, I can't wait to wrap it up some more. But man,
Yeah.
they did a great job in really making her an essential part of everyone's journey. You know, Yoda's, Obi-Wan's, and you see the difference between Anakin when Ahsoka was around to season 6 when Ahsoka isn't there. Dude, Anakin just straight up doesn't care anymore. He just kills like bad guys and he blows up their ships. Like
Yeah.
it's insane.
She was really kind of tethering him
Hmm.
to, to the code, really. And they have such an intimate relationship. They really know, like, they know each other's deep secrets, especially Anakin's.
Yeah.
She knows about Padme and their like hidden marriage and everything. I mean, of course, the only complaint is that it leaves a big hole in Revenge of the Sith as to
Oh
why
yeah.
she's not brought up.
At all. Yeah,
But
exactly.
the original Clone Wars ending, because Clone Wars has been brought back twice now, the Clone Wars. The original ending of Clone Wars would have been the end of season 5 when she's like
Exile.
excommunicated from the Jedi, and then they
Mhm.
offer her to come back, and she's like, "No,
And that was
I'm
one of
not
the
down."
greatest episodes, especially her connection
Dude.
between her and Anakin at the end, where he's like, "You have no idea. I know what it means that how like the passion to want to leave the order," and you're just like, "Dude, the feels right there." Like,
Yeah, that episode is powerful. That's my favorite of the endings because
oh yeah,
technically you get another end of the series in episode or season 6 when it comes back on Netflix. But that season doesn't feel as cohesive. It feels like here's bonus stories from around. Whereas season 7, the one that just wrapped up on Disney Plus, that one feels like a whole story.
oh yeah.
And I mean that ending's great too, but I just really liked the end of season 5. That was just so powerful.
Well, it's funny because right before we were talking about this, we were going to rank our seasons, and
Yeah.
essentially, it's just like a countdown from each season. That's our favorite
Yeah.
ones. But I have to say, like, it took me a while to really. I try to mix it up a bit. It took me a while to weigh it out. That season 6, I think, was my favorite season, only
Mm,
because the first arc of that season, insane. Talk about the inhibitor chips and stuff like that. Oh, good stuff. And they go into the Sifo Dyas stuff even more, which I've always questioned why don't we know more about this character. And
yeah.
that Yoda arc, oh man, that Yoda arc was so good.
Yeah. This is when he learns how to become one with the Force, right? Is that the arc I'm
Yeah.
thinking of? Yeah, that's really
And
cool too.
it answers the questions of like, well, I mean, they could talk to Qui-Gon. Why can't, they just talk to all the dead Jedis and whatnot? But it
Yeah.
answers that, which is such a great thing to address.
I think there's something to be said about how clever that they're filling in these plot holes of the Star Wars universe. Like before, it's like, so what? All the clones just decided, like none of them had free will and was like, no, I'm not going to kill the Jedi. Like,
Yeah.
were the clones evil the whole time? Did they know? Were they keeping a secret? Like, what is the thing?
It's just
And
like
then
it's in the
show-
order roll. You know what I mean? Like, why didn't
Yeah.
somebody read the order list? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. Guys, there's no 66 here. It just goes from 65 to 67. What's going
Yeah.
on? But it's funny. That season's my favorite too, and it's because of the same reason. That first arc of season 6, when we find out about the inhibitor chips, and that opening scene of the Jedi sister, like the twins, and
Oh,
one of
yeah.
them just gets killed. It is so cool, man. And I have to say too, like Rogue One is basically a movie written to answer that question about why there's an exhaust port on the Death Star. For like 30 years, people are just like, why they even put an exhaust port on there? How dumb. And then Rogue One, whoever that is, whoever wrote Rogue One, is just like, you know what? I'm going to put this to bed, everybody. It turns out there was someone inside doing it intentionally. And it's like, this is so lazy. What a terribly written movie.
Yeah.
But Star Wars Clone Wars is like the opposite. It's like, let me create this intricate backstory. You know what I mean?
Hmm?
Besides, Angry Man decided to do this. It's like it's so
Yeah.
it's so powerful, man. But yeah, season 6 is my favorite. Probably like followed by season 5. Because of the ending and because of like the Darth Maul resolutions that we get.
Oh yeah, dude, the black saber. Oh man,
Yeah.
It's something that I feel like I've always known about in my life. It's like a rumor that I always heard of, but I never saw it. Maybe it was in some Dark Horse comics that I hadn't read yet or something.
Yeah.
But then bringing it to life in the show, oh man, it just like confirms all your childhood dreams, all the childhood myths that you were like, the black lightsaber. Why don't we have one? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And then also spoiler alerts for Mandalorian, but
oh yeah,
when Gus Fring shows up in the last episode with the Darksaber, it's like,
how?
yes.
Like,
Um,
do they address that like in Rebels or something?
yeah, this is exciting, right? We don't know how Mandalore is destroyed.
Uh huh.
You know what I mean? And we've
Yeah.
like never known. Maybe in the old EU it was mentioned. I don't know. I'm
I don't
not
know.
that familiar with it. And I hope it wasn't like destroyed by the Death Star. I don't think it was.
I mean, for me, I always felt it was like the Mandalorians were always kind of scarce after the Mandalorian
Yeah.
Wars and Knights of the Old Republic. That's how I always thought.
Which you would think, but in this case, I mean, this
The
is
whole
proven that
civilization. Yeah.
it's not. That's not totally true because in Clone Wars, Mandalore's thriving. They have
Mhm.
civil war, but it's thriving.
Yeah.
Then we get Rebels, which is just before Episode 4, and Mandalore is still a thing. And
Oh,
I'm not
wow.
going to spoil any of it for you, but Mandalore plays a huge arc in Rebels.
Oh wow. Okay.
But then when we get to Mandalorian, which is post Episode 6, we find out that Mandalore's gone. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And these are like the last of the Mandalorians in hiding. So somewhere between, like, somewhere in the events of 4, 5, and 6 is the destruction of Mandalore. And we don't know, like, what that is. So then when you watch the end of Mandalore, if you've watched Rebels and you've watched Clone Wars, you know what the Darksaber is.
Yeah.
So when it shows up at the end of The Mandalorian, it's like, they're really like rewarding the people who've dug in all the way, who are like, you know what, let me watch all of these.
Nice.
And I think there's a lot of love for The Mandalorian. It seemed like everyone watched that show.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, Baby Yoda and yada yada yada. But if you're a Star Wars fan and you've been hesitant to watch Rebels and Clone Wars because they're cartoons and they look kind of childish,
Mhm.
there is a little bit of that at the beginning of both of them. But the shows really grow, and the amount of content you're gonna get in compared to like what happens in Mandalorian, which is all kind of like none of it really matters. I guess the
Yeah.
Yoda babies kind of could be really significant. But yeah,
Potentially, yeah.
these other things are huge canon events. And then of course now we know that Ahsoka is going to come to the show like in season 2 of Mandalorian.
So I'm really confused about that too, because I heard that she was and Rosie O'Dawson's gonna play her, and then I saw an interview that Rosie O'Dawson was like, I have no idea what this rumor is about.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Well, maybe
but-
it is a rumor.
Yeah, I'm
I don't
not
know.
too sure. I'd be super excited. I think she'd be great for that role, though.
I'm going to do some research here. Well, while we're on that topic, Ashley Eckstein, who's the person who voices Ahsoka Tano,
Mhm.
people have been calling for her
To play,
be live
yeah.
action. What would you think about that?
I mean, voice actors and like actors are different for a number of reasons. You know what I mean? It's like, would you want Kevin Conroy to be in a full series for Batman, or do you want to just see him like as Batman for a little bit? Sometimes it doesn't match up right. It's like having oh my gosh, I'm spacing his name, something Lamar. He was on Mad TV, and he's done like Hal Jordan or
Oh.
Jon Stewart's voice and all that. Phil Lamar. Phil Lamar.
Okay,
Yeah,
there you
it's like having Phil Lamar play like Jon Stewart on a live action. It just depends if they have the acting chops physically to do that.
go. Yeah. Which also, if you really want to make yourself upset, you need to Google a picture of what Anakin Skywalker's voice actor looks like, because he looks like he could have just played the live action role.
Really?
Yeah, he's like almost the exact same age as Hayden Christensen. They look so similar, and you're just like, man, why didn't this happen? My dream come true, Brandon, would be for them to completely remake episode 2 and 3, but with the Clone Wars staff. They can clean up the dialogue, they can
Oh
fix the dialogue a
man.
little bit, completely just redo the movie, and then have the voice cast
Well,
of the Clone Wars.
what I was gonna actually make a point about is that Dave Filoni should just run Star Wars, dude. That guy,
Yeah. Or
hands
Filoni,
down,
I
no
think, isn't it?
Filoni, yeah. His everything
He's
he's
proven it.
done, he's
He's
proven
proven
it
it. Yeah.
time after time again, and it doesn't matter what part of the history of Star Wars, he has just killed it. Like, why isn't this guy running the movie stuff?
Yeah, Disney is going to be so dumb if they don't put this guy in charge.
Hmm.
This is the same thing as the Russo brothers and what they mean to the MCU.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
100%.
mean? Or what's his name? The guy who does all the Iron Man movies, who's in them. I can never remember that guy's name. He's the guy who's interested. He plays the guy who works for.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about, and he did the stuff for Mandalorian.
Yeah, and he's always flirting with Aunt May in the
Yeah,
Spider-Man movies.
yeah, exactly.
Everyone knows who we're talking about.
Yeah,
It's the same. It's the same kind of weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's someone's screaming in their car right now. Oh, so check this out. This is an article from Entertainment Weekly, and it says here: Dawson was asked by Variety if she's playing Ahsoka Tano in the upcoming season of the Disney Plus series. That's not confirmed yet, but when that happens, I will be very happy, she replied. Then added, I'm very excited for that to be confirmed at some point. And it would be 1,001% because of the fans.
oh wow,
So it sounds like yes,
it's.
but they're waiting for an official release.
I mean, it could be. There's always money stuff. There's always contracts,
Yeah.
timing. What's going
Yeah.
on, previous engagements and whatnot. So we'll see.
Rosario Dawson would be a great Ahsoka, though.
And she'll learn how to use a sword.
Oh, yeah.
Like she
Well,
told
yeah,
me about.
she'll
Yeah.
be down for it. Oh, man. I hope. But yeah, if that happens, all those Mandalorian fans are going to have to go back and rewatch all this to really get it, to get the whole thing that's going on.
And it's, I saw Mandalorian before all of this. Like I saw a lot of Clone Wars, around the time it was coming out or right after stuff was finishing up, but I had only gotten to I want to say like the beginning of season 3, and then I fell off, and then I came back and watched where Darth Maul came back, and then I never touched it again.
Mhm.
And so now I just blasted through everything within the last month or so. I want to say did a lot of hardcore, just binging every day. But man, you really should just watch everything.
Yeah.
Everything connects,
Yeah.
and I regret not keeping up with Clone Wars now. I really wish I got to wait week after week. Of course, it's great binging it, but it's a different experience at that point.
Yeah.
But this guy is making callbacks to even, I mean, Darth Bane appears in season 6,
Yeah.
and there's a deleted scene from one of my favorite arcs in season 3, the father, daughter, son arc, where it shows the different sides of the Force and everything.
That is such an interesting episode, man. When
Dude,
you see the physical manifestations of the Force, that's
yeah,
crazy.
It
Yeah.
really redefines what we all understood about the Force and how it all works and what they all represent and how it all came to be, kind of.
And it also really cements the prophecy. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Clone
yeah.
Wars really cleans up what the prophecy is and what it means, for
Mhm.
sure.
Exactly. And it's and it's funny because the prophecy was always saying Skywalker, and it turns out, of course, it's Luke,
Yeah.
and it's everyone
Or
assumes.
Ray Skywalker. She changed her name at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
Maybe.
Remember?
I mean, that's true, it's part of that title, I think each one has that play that they have to do, so it can make sense like that. But dude, Darth Revan and Darth Bane are in a deleted scene. Did you ever
Whoa.
see that?
No, I haven't seen that.
It made it all the way to animation, but it never got cleaned up and polished and everything. It's on YouTube. It's a minute and a half.
I'm upset.
But the son is speaking to them, and Darth Revan's the one speaking and giving them instructions and what to do. And Darth
Oh.
Bane comes in on the side too, and they're both we're the ones who have really defined the Force for the Sith, and that's why we're giving you instructions on what to do next. And oh man, imagine seeing Darth Bane and Revan together,
Yeah.
Dude.
I would just be satisfied with knowing that Revan is officially canon again. That would.
Me
Is he
too.
mentioned in anything else? I don't think he is.
I want to say so. I want to say he is Ken. I gotta do some research. We'll follow up on
Yeah,
that
I'll
question.
have to.
Because dude, Revan by far is one of my favorites. Just playing him as a character. And did you? I was looking into the game that came after the Knights of the Old Republic console games, The Old Republic.
Oh
Did you
yeah,
ever play that?
the MMORPG.
Yeah,
No, I didn't play it, but I love their CGI trailers.
dude, right? Dude, they are the greatest looking CGI trailers ever.
Yeah, right.
There's the one where they crash into the Jedi Academy, and
I know
then
exactly what you're talking
yeah,
about, and
and
then all
just
those red lightsabers light up.
and as a
Yeah.
kid watching that, you're just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
yeah, it's insane.
And then you're like, oh, it's World of Warcraft.
Yeah, my computer can handle it if I wanted to, like
Yeah,
as a
exactly.
13-year-old and whatnot. But dude, there's a whole arc in that game, and it's all about Revan. You come back to him, and it's 300 years after Knights of the Old Republic. He was imprisoned. His face has like marks where his helmet was, and you could tell. And he like split himself in half. Like part of him's dead. That's part of the Force, and then part of him's like the dark side physical embodiment. And yeah, it's crazy.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, it's super cool. And I think some of the other Sith pop back up from those games too. I'm not too sure because I never played those games. I was just watching
Yeah.
YouTube videos. You really got to do those arcs. But man, season 4, we talked about the Night Sisters. Season 5, season 5 was really a good demonstration on just how messed up the Jedi are and the Jedi path is.
Yeah, they're twisted.
And
Oh, and is this the one? Oh, in season 5, it's got one of the most adorable arcs, like them getting their lightsabers, all those little Padawans making their lightsabers,
yeah.
and the little Wookiee Jedi. Oh my gosh,
That guy was adorable, dude.
that's too much, man. That's too much for me to handle. If there was like a little Ewok Jedi, I wouldn't have made it. I'd be dead right now.
Have we not seen an Ewok Jedi yet? I never thought about that.
They don't get the credit they deserve.
Well, they even said like a Wookiee Jedi is super rare, and I think
Yeah.
it could be because of the intellect that they have. Like,
And then they give the Wookiee Jedi a wooden lightsaber, and I was like,
Yeah.
what is this, racism?
Yeah.
Space racism? What's going on here? But I love that scene too because they basically have like a lifted Harry Potter scene, that Oleander's thing, when you're like, okay, well, let me see what would be the right wand for you. Phoenix feather. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how that scene is. Oh, a Wookiee. Here's some unbreakable trees from blah, 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 blah. I'm like, wow.
yeah, thanks,
Okay,
dude.
we're just ripping Harry Potter really hard right now, but that's fine.
And another good revelation, I think it was around that time, or maybe it was season 6, but no, it was season 6, the Darth Tyrannus revelation, how like nobody knew that was Dooku's Sith name. And because like in the films, I feel like it seemed like everyone knew that Darth Tyrannus was also Dooku and whatnot, like vice versa.
Yeah.
But that revelation of finding out that when Obi-Wan and Anakin found out that Darth Tyrannus was this person, and he was the one with Sifo Dyas, the hidden Jedi that nobody knew about that accompanied him. Man, dude, those revelations, great stuff. Like what you said, those plot holes they fill, just it all makes a deeper impact when Order 66 comes along and Palpatine's revealed, because when you watch just the movies, you're just like, how did they not know? How did they not figure this out?
Yeah, exactly. And also it really clears up the relationship that Palpatine has with everyone. Because I was always confused about, like, okay, who really knows who Palpatine is? Does anyone know that he's the Emperor?
Yeah.
Like, does Dooku know? Like, but they really clear that up in the show too.
And it's great because nobody knew. Like, nobody knew his game.
Nobody knew what was going on. Yeah.
I think the only one that did was no, I don't even think he did. Maul didn't know.
Maul didn't know. He knew he was
No.
the Emperor. He didn't know that he was the Count. But later he does, like in season 7, because he makes some comments to Ahsoka about how Anakin is being trained,
Puppeted.
being groomed.
And that's
be
the cool
new
part. They gave
apprentice.
Maul such great knowledge, and then him realizing that he was a puppet, just like Count Dooku was a puppet, and Grievous as well. Like, he was jealous at first, and then he realized, like, man, we were all just part of the game. We were all just meant to die. It was all for deception. And that's the coolest thing they got was the Sith deception behind everything. And that's something that they've highlighted throughout Star Wars history. Is I think there's even a book about the Sith from the PC game, The Old Republic, and it's called
Ooh.
Deception.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like, I think that's like the title of it. Yeah.
Well, like Asajj Ventress is such an interesting character too, who's like
Oh my
Dooku's
gosh.
Padawan
Mm-hmm.
or Dooku's apprentice, I should say. And that same thing goes on too. They're just using her,
Yeah.
and she's also like a secret. Like the Emperor doesn't know about Asajj Ventress,
Yeah, I thought
but
that was
then
cool too.
makes Dooku get rid of her. That was it. That was super cool too.
And then her popping back up all bounty hunter status. And do they ever address her again in Rebels?
Um, Shoot, I don't think so. I've only seen Rebels once through. I'm pretty sure she doesn't, but you'll have to let me know if she does.
Okay.
Well, I'm rewatching it right now too, so maybe one of us will figure it out.
Yeah, she was a great character I'd love to see more of, her arc as well. She had an amazing arc throughout, from Clone Wars and the Clone Wars. You could
Yeah.
putting them side by side is great. And it just makes me more angry that Battlefront 2 didn't feature characters like Ventress or, Ahsoka when we had all these other, just like the main Star Wars
Oh,
characters.
you're talking about current Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me wonder about that. It's like, okay, you put in the skin for the guy who plays young Han Solo, but you couldn't make Ahsoka Tano a character.
Yeah.
But
I
you
know, I
would
hated
think, yeah, but you would think that with her being in the Mandalorian, it would be more plausible that she might sneak in there. Of course, they could have done a Mandalorian DLC for Battlefront 2.
Oh,
Like
you're right.
made the
For
Mandalorian
Boba.
a character with his like make a good Mandalorian, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
if you're on the dark side you can be Boba Fett, but if you're on the light side you could be like the Mandalorian and have that sweet silver armor, you know what I
That's
mean? That'd be
true.
cool.
That's true.
But also, I don't know how you feel about this. In Battlefront 2, the new one, the DICE one, um, it's clear that they're running out of dark force users or dark side baddies when we have like Bosk is like a playable villain, you know what I mean? Whereas
One of the funniest things, yeah.
yeah, so it's like, man, you guys really should put in Asajj Ventress. Like you need someone else, you know what I mean? You need to dig through there.
Or just get a cooler bounty hunter, something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Bosk is like a laughable character no matter what you do because, yeah, it's just so
Yeah.
annoying. Honestly, I accidentally, me and Sam were playing online and we were laughing about Bosk. And when you die, it sends you back to the character chooser screen.
Yeah.
And I accidentally had it on Bosk because I was looking at him and I got stuck playing as Bosk for like 20 minutes. Like, and I was like surprised how good of a character he is, but I was like, man, I'm Bosk though. Like, this isn't.
Yeah. This is like an insult. I don't want to be this
Yeah,
guy right now.
I shouldn't be enjoying it this much.
It would be like if Greedo is one of the characters or something. It's just
Oh
so
my
ridiculous.
gosh, yeah, just a single
be so-
pistol.
Yeah.
And one more thing, because I think we're wrapping up on Clone Wars a bit,
Yeah.
but the spectrum that Clone Wars has, like every season was really good on having. The first we're going to start off with clone military focused stuff, and we're going to do some battles and kind of set up some things. And then middle of the season, we're going to go on to the political aspect of the Clone Wars. And then at the end, we're going to tackle all the crazy Jedi stuff. Like it was so well balanced that as you were getting tired of like, all right, enough clone stuff. Oh, we're in political stuff. All right, political stuff. It's the shortest part of all of it. But then high intense Jedi revelations and battles. And I mean, you don't get that from Star Wars. That kind of balance
Yeah.
of between every scope and spectrum of what's going on in that universe.
Especially because the military and the political stuff really only relates to the prequel trilogy. None of the other ones really treat it that way. I mean, obviously there's armies in every Star Wars,
Yeah.
but they're not treated like military dramas or something.
Yeah.
But episode 2 and 3, like they got a bunch of political stuff. And then they have all the clone stuff too, especially episode 2. But yeah, in Clone Wars, you get great stories about like Fives, Cody, Rex, like some of the clones become like your favorite characters, which is so much bigger than what they are
dude.
anywhere else.
Rex, man. Those last 3 episodes, I was like, don't tell me Rex is going to die. Don't tell me Rex is going to die. Like those were, man, I was terrified. Like those last 3. And I'm so glad they saved him. So glad.
Oh yeah, they brought Rexy back.
Do you see him in Rebels?
You know what? I'm not going to say anything, Brandon. I'm going to
All
wait
right.
for you to finish
All
Rebels.
right.
But
Good
Rex
call.
is he's the MVP, man. Well, you know what is fun? When I was rewatching Clone Wars, or I'm sorry, Revenge of the Sith, Cody is the one who tries to shoot Obi-Wan right after he kills Grievous.
Yeah.
When he's riding on that weird lizard thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, he like even says, "Hey, Commander Cody," blah 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 blah. I'm like, "Oh, it's Cody." Okay, well, this is where they got the name from.
Yeah,
But
exactly. That's why I was
that
always
was
excited
super
to see
cool.
him throughout the series. For some reason, I always like knew about Cody. It's like one of the names that just stuck
Yeah,
out to me since I was a kid for some reason.
and then I just also got to point this out. It's interesting because Rex, they're 501st.
Hmm.
Those clones. And if you go back and play Star Wars Battlefront 2 for PlayStation or Xbox or whatever, PlayStation 2, I should say, or Xbox, when you play that campaign mode and you're clone troopers, you're the 501st. Like
Yeah.
you're the same group of, except in that one you're like evil. They're like, we're gonna wipe out the Jedi. Like when the Order 66 happens.
Hmm.
Um, oh, excuse me.
I'm gonna go for it.
No, I mean that was more or less all I was going to say. I was going to take one more dig at Rogue One because when Rogue One was coming out, they were saying that, oh, it's going to be like a dark war drama from the approaches of what it's like to be on a battlefield. It's like, no, it's just
No,
another
listen.
Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it's just something that
Wasn't
could have been
anything
told
close
in
to
like
that.
an episode. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
not. I
Star
know.
Wars Clone Wars has better, grittier war stuff, like more intense war things. That show does, or even the Clone Cadets episode, the start of season 3,
Oh
where they have to
yeah,
pass that test. There's just awesome stuff, man.
it'd be cool
Awesome,
just to see a
awesome stuff.
clone-focused live-action movie.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah,
Like a band of brothers, but with clones. That'd
yeah,
be so cool.
it'd be super great. I love that. And just small appearances from Jedi's or something, or you hear about
Yeah.
them in the background, never even reveal them. That'd be super cool. I'm totally tuned in for that. Um, you know what? As we kind of wrap up some of this Star Wars talk, do you have anything else about the seasons?
You know what? I thought we should at least talk a little bit about season 7, since that's what's new.
Oh yeah.
People just finished it. And season 7's really only 3 arcs. It's 12
Mhm.
episodes. Each of the 3 arcs is 4 episodes long. What'd you think about the first one? The
I would
Bad
say that
Batch?
first arc is so cool. Dude, that got me right away. Man,
Yeah.
those troopers are super awesome. I love how they added some diversity. I love how you find out what's the one that they save? I'm spacing his name real hard.
Oh,
Um
it's not Fives, is
that's
it? No,
that's
it's
not
Echo.
five. It's Echo,
It's
yeah.
Echo, yeah.
Dude, man, what a crazy concept. You know, like capturing a clone and digging into his mind for strategies. Like that was some twisted, crazy
Yeah.
stuff. And then just seeing what happens to Echo after that. It's such an interesting take. And I wish we knew what happened to Echo after everything and that whole squad, you know?
I'm curious if the Bad Batch is affected by Order 66.
Exactly, because they're all
Especially
like
because they're so
unique.
different. Yeah.
Mhm.
The Bad Batch is cool. It's got like a Inglorious Bastards feel to it.
Yeah.
It's and you know what I have to say this too. I can't believe I didn't bring this up. Most of the clone stuff in this thing feels like old school World War II movies.
Oh yeah.
Like
You've
like
been on a binge recently,
yeah.
so it's
So
a
it's
very
weird. They lined up. It was like, man, am I watching the Dirty Dozen right now? That's like what it feels like. But man, yeah, I think the first arc's great. The second arc, I think people had a really big deal with it, and I think if it was in any other season, people wouldn't have hated on it so much. But because it's a third of the final season of Clone Wars,
Oh yeah, I wasn't crazy about the Ahsoka stuff.
yeah, Trace and Rafa, they're twin sisters who own some kind of shop, and Ahsoka ends up hanging out with them after she gets kicked out of the Jedi,
Yeah,
and they go on some shenanigans. That's more or less it.
yeah.
It's an okay story. It feels like filler.
Yes, hundred
And
percent filler. Like
yeah,
I
and
was
you're coming
arranging my apartment while that was going on,
right.
because you don't miss much
You
until she
don't.
comes back in contact with Obi-Wan and Anakin.
You 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 think you're coming back. You're reopening a show and creating another finale for a show. And you only got 12 episodes, and it seems like someone should have been like, you know what, guys, we need to do a different 4 episodes.
Yeah, do something. Almost anything would have been better, or give
Yeah,
her some sort of I don't know, quicker adventure. Talk
yeah.
about what Yoda and everyone was up to. Anything, dude. I would have.
I would have taken a droids episode over this.
Yeah,
like,
dude. Oh man, the droids. You get so attached to them in
Yeah.
that one arc. Oh, when they're with R2 and everything, and they go on that crazy mission. Like one of them dies because he gets sucked out the
Yeah,
spacecraft.
the droid squad. I forgot what they call them.
Yeah,
They
me
have a
too.
name.
But oh, and
Yeah,
then seeing them at the end of season 7, dude, that broke my heart.
oh
Just seeing them all get gunned down, it
yeah.
was so brutal. Like,
You're like, no.
yes.
Yeah, they didn't make it. Well, so yeah, the last 4 episodes of season 7. Man, this is some brilliance on Filoni's part here. I don't know if he was the one who came up with this concept.
He wrote all those episodes.
Oh, okay. Well then, dude, my hat's off to you. Like, making the last arc of Clone Wars literally coincide with Revenge of the Sith.
Perfection. And we didn't get
Yes.
like, typically almost 100. Like this is the one off. But whenever they do connections like this, they always reanimate scenes from the movie or scenes from something else. Like I was expecting to see the whole Anakin Dooku slicing. Like that's just something you expect. But they didn't waste any time,
Mm-mm.
any footage. As stuff was happening in that movie, you could have probably had it playing in the background and it could have synced up. I wouldn't have been surprised. Flawless, great stuff.
There's a cool thing IGN put together where they edited together every Order 66. Like the one from Fallen Order, the one from Revenge of the Sith, and the one from Clone Wars,
Oh,
and they have
wow.
them all playing at the same time, so you can see like every screen and how everyone's reacting.
Oh
It's
man,
super cool, dude. You have to
I
check
gotta
that
check
out.
that out for sure.
And then I also got to toss out, yeah, like you hear things like Obi-Wan's like, Anakin, we have to go. General Grievous is attacking Coruscant, and
Mhm.
they've kidnapped the Chancellor, and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, yeah.
That's bad news. And then the other cool thing though is like, oh man, I just lost it. Oh, there's a moment. It's when Anakin is killing Mace Windu. I mean, I guess
Yes.
he doesn't kill him, but he disarms him.
Yeah.
And you hear the dialogue from Revenge of the Sith,
Oh yeah.
and it's actually like Hayden Christensen
Yeah.
for some of it. They
Yeah.
pulled some of his audio. I was like, oh my goodness.
And you could tell the voice difference, like what you were saying,
Yeah.
between his and the regular voice we've been hearing for 7 seasons.
The other Anakin is so confident and like,
Mhm.
and he's got like bravado. He's like a little cocky, but he knows that he's really like good at it, and you
Yeah.
believe him. Whereas the other Anakin, I don't
You're
know.
just like, I don't know, you're just a whiny little
Um,
brat.
And then, one more thing I want to say too. So the last part, like, Ahsoka is on this ship. Basically, Ahsoka comes to Anakin and Obi-Wan and says, like, I found Darth Maul. I need you guys to come with me. But it just so happens that it corresponds with Coruscant being attacked. So they send Ahsoka with a bunch of clone troopers, like with Rex and his group of clone troopers, to go capture Darth Maul. And they actually managed to do it, which is super cool.
Yeah.
I would like to, and maybe this would be a fun thing to do together. Maybe we can even show it off on a podcast, but I'd like to make a tier list of where everyone lines up as far as lightsaber combat skills, because we know that certain people have beaten other people.
Yeah.
Like, we know that Obi-Wan's beaten Darth Maul, but now we know Ahsoka has beaten Darth Maul. So, kind of, not exactly like Obi-Wan has, but, like, who's the best sword fighter in Star Wars? I don't know.
Oh wow. Yeah.
There's got to be some,
Well, dude,
jumps, obviously.
Man, seeing Ahsoka in season 7, I feel like she was just so much better than anyone else I saw on the
Right.
show. Like when she's deflecting all the clones around her and then like jumps up through the top of her. Man, that was an epic moment. Like creating the
Yeah.
smoke to like throw them off and then escaping. Like she has some amazing combat skills. But I would love to do that. Like the little tier list and see
Yeah,
who
try and
wins
make
on
a
each
tier
time.
list.
Mhm.
That would be good. Also, man, the use of the Revenge of the Sith soundtrack in the last episode.
Oh yeah.
When Rex is like fighting with himself to not turn on her.
I
And
love
then-
that too. His like inner strength going
Yeah.
above the order. Ah,
Yeah, that's great. But they hit that music that they play in Revenge of the Sith when Obi-Wan is, or like when Padme is confronting Anakin, really, and then Obi-Wan like steps out of that ship with his robe on. He's like, "You've done it yourself, Anakin." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That whole thing, man, that music's powerful. Whew. And then, of course, the last scene, we finally get to see Vader in
Yeah.
the Clone Wars. He's like the last shot of the show.
Yeah, and I love that because those were the lightsabers that he gave Ahsoka, right?
Yeah, and you know what? We see Ahsoka, because at the beginning she only has one lightsaber,
Mm-hmm.
but we see the episode where she gets the second one, when that one Jedi who looks kind of like Yoda with the ears. He
Oh
dies.
yeah. Uh-huh.
She gets the second lightsaber from him, which is cool. But then, yeah, Ahsoka leaves him, which kind of ties up a nice little plot hole, because in Rebels, when she shows up, she's got white lightsabers.
Oh really?
And,
Whoa.
oh, have you not gotten there yet? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh,
though. Oh my
okay,
God.
yeah.
I'm
There's
so
a
excited.
great explanation behind it too. You gotta wait till. Oh man, I'm so excited for you, and I don't want to hype it up too much, but I feel like Rebels actually delivers a more consistent story than Clone Wars.
Oh man.
Whereas Clone Wars feels like you're kind of bridging something, and there's great arcs in between it.
Yeah.
In Rebels, it's like you see the Ghost Crew just level up the whole time. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and you get to
man.
see what their purpose is, and it's really cool, man.
Oh, I'm so
So-
excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Yes.
you gotta watch more. Well, I just love talking Star Wars. Let's just change this podcast and
I'm
only do
down.
Star Wars.
I'm
Everything's
so
Star
hyped
Wars.
now. I'm so hyped. I've been well, I mean, speaking of the video games too, real while we're on the topic
Yeah.
of Clone Wars, there's a lot of games I've gone over the Clone Wars stuff, but one of my favorites, and I don't know if it's so great now, but it's the one that came with the Xbox with like the Tetris game or something. Did you ever
Oh.
play that one?
Star
The-
Wars Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I have played it. I have it. It's good. It feels rougher than Battlefront 2, though.
Oh,
Although
really?
I remember, I think they had good vehicle stuff in that game.
Yeah, right.
It'd be worth checking out. Give me 1 second here.
As we wait for David to check his video game collection,
I don't have that one.
I thought you did. I could have sworn I saw it at your house. I know Sam has it, hands down for sure.
You know what? I don't know, man. Maybe I got rid of it, but I did want to bring up just these couple things. There's Star Wars: The Clone Wars Republic Heroes,
I
which
never
is
played
based
that
on
one.
the Clone Wars series. It's kind of fun because you can be like Ahsoka and all those characters,
Oh, that's
but I have
cool.
to say it is no different than playing a Star Wars Lego game.
Ah,
This is very much like for kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to be in the universe, but it's after a while you're like, I'm just tapping A.
well, and I think there was this. There's always the Lego games based on every movie except for The Last Jedi because it sucked. But there's a special one.
There's one about the Clone Wars, like the show, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I haven't played it, but I have it. I'm probably gonna want to
Might
play it
check
now.
that out,
But
yeah.
yeah.
I wonder if that's going to be included because they announced that they're doing Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, like
Yeah.
Lego Star Wars. So is it going to be all of it? Like, whew, that's a
I
lot.
don't know. I've never. Those Lego games are so long. It's hard to get through like one of them at some point.
If I was like 9 years old and I had a 6-year-old little brother, we would destroy all of them.
Yeah, exactly. I play with
But-
my girlfriend because it's the easiest game to play with her.
You know what's funny? When Michelle and I, like when Michelle first started getting into video gaming, a big
Good
one was
training.
the first Lego Batman.
Yeah, it's a good
We
training
went through
ground.
a ton of that. Yeah, it is. But now it's like, we're past that. Like,
Yeah.
we're playing Rocket League now.
Yeah, there you go.
I do have to throw this out here because this is a little bit of a hidden gem, Brandon, and maybe we should do a gameplay video on it sometime. It's not perfect, but I'm saying this is a Star Wars game people haven't paid enough attention to, and that is Star Wars Clone Wars lightsaber duels.
Oh wow! No,
It's-
I hadn't. I never
it-
had a Wii, so I don't know.
It's on the Wii. It's a 1v1 fighting game.
Oh wow!
But like with the characters of Clone Wars, so you can be Asajj Ventress, you can be Ahsoka Tano.
down for that.
And I bought it at GameStop years ago for 99 cents.
Wow!
And let me tell you, it's definitely worth $1. If you find that deal, guys, pick it up. It's a lot of fun. And I feel like everyone has always wanted that Star Wars game. Like, let's just be characters with lightsabers
Yeah.
and fight each other. And
Exactly.
how many of them are there? There's like 3. So,
That's so cool.
Good call.
Well, I definitely want to check that one out, hands down, because
What
that
the
sounds like the Vader Immortal. Have you checked that one out yet?
Vader Immortals.
Yeah. It's
No, I'm not familiar. What's that?
it's like a VR game, and it's coming to PlayStation, but it's on Oculus Rift right now. Dude, look up videos on YouTube of that game, and whew, do you have a Oculus Rift?
I don't, but I have a PlayStation VR, so.
So when
Yeah.
it comes out, yeah, I'm borrowing Frank's. I already told
Oh.
him. So
That's hilarious. There's also a really cool Star Trek game for VR, and I'm trying to get other people to buy it so I can play it.
Oh,
But
you've
it's
shown
like-
it to me, yeah.
Not to ruin the sanctity of this conversation by bringing up Star Trek, but it's a game where you're 4 people on the command deck, of like the Enterprise.
That's cool.
And each of you have a different role. So you're in VR and you're just sitting in your chair. You know what I mean? But it's like, okay, put the engines to 100%, raise the shields. You know what I mean? And there's different people like working different things.
That's so cool.
It sounds like a lot of fun, man. Yeah. So maybe we'll be back with some Rebels talk. I don't know. After you finish Rebels, we'll have to see how you feel about it.
Hands down. I'll knock it out in a week.
And then we'll just go about doing an episode on every Star Wars property ever and reviewing them.
Yes. Yes. Well, real fast before we jump to that part, there's also Clone Commando, which we talked about. We haven't beat, but definitely, Sam told me the ending is really shocking and surprising. So I'm hyped to get to it. There's a Star Wars Episode 3 game, but you're just like Anakin and Obi-Wan, so it doesn't do too much with the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. There's, of course, Battlefront, the original Battlefronts, which are amazing. And like you said, Battlefront 2, the classic one, you're the 501st. And you start from the beginning of the clones till the Battle of Endor, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is weird because that doesn't make sense because they use clones at that point. But I don't know, maybe 501st stuck around.
Which is why that's not continuity anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then there's Battlefront 2, the recent one, which covers some really good ground and a lot of good battles. The newest update's pretty cool. I never played the story. I have no idea what the story's about.
I started it. You play a squad of stormtroopers at the end of episode 6. So like the Death Star is literally just blown up and you're like on the moon. You're like on it. You're like there on Endor. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And you see the Death Star blow up in the sky, and then every one of your troops like, what are we gonna do?
Oh wow.
The story's kind of interesting. The gameplay's kind of bland.
Yeah, the gameplay is not the best for that type of stuff.
Even
but the multiplayer is cool.
The multiplayer is really cool. When you play those challenges in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the dice one, it's like, oh, this is boring.
Yeah, you're just repetition.
Yeah.
I think it's good if you're just trying to like level up your characters, but if not, then don't bother.
It's not worth it. Yeah, but that game is cool, and I gotta say, put off by the first one's lack of content. They have more than made up for that.
Oh yeah. Part 2. Yeah, I remember because I got the deluxe edition and I got it at midnight, the first Battlefront that when they re-released it, and I was so excited and I got home and I put it in and there's no campaign. The multiplayer was kind of bland. I was like brokenhearted, dude. And now you could get it for like $5 for the Ultimate Edition, like because it was so terrible.
I'm sure they're gonna be giving that game away in like a year. Like, let's just throw these in the garbage. Like, who's gonna play Battlefront 1?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it took them 2.5 years to get Battlefront 2 complete and decent, and it's pretty fun. I mean, it's cool. I wish there was more to it, but whatever.
One more little touch on the Battlefront thing. You need to look up the I have actually a really good video I should show you. I should send it to you. It's a little long. It's about the history of Battlefront 3 and basically how that project was canceled because they just didn't have the money at the time.
Oh, wow.
But what they were planning on doing was like you could be on the surface of the planet and get into a ship and fly up fly out of the atmosphere and into whatever their, like Republic cruiser or whatever's up there, get inside and then fight inside of there.
I remember that. Yeah,
and
you could jump from space to
and it was seamless. And they still haven't done something like that in Battlefront.
Now you could jump in a plane, but you're on the same battlefield.
You're on the same battlefield. You just shoot things down there, but it's like, no, I'm going to get in here and then sabotage them above and attack them from up there. And there's some really awesome gameplay videos, man, that they did when it was in beta testing, so you can watch Battlefront 3 footage, and it looks incredible.
I think I do remember that because that was a while ago. Yeah,
well, that's a long time ago.
Yeah,
long time ago.
Man, I don't think there's any other Clone Wars based games though.
I don't think so either. I mean, they're not super touched upon.
And I know nothing about the phone games. I know nothing about those.
No, I'm too old for that. I'm
too
old for playing phone games. Sorry, everyone.
Oh man, we hit everything I wanted to talk about. That's
exciting.
I'm so happy I love Star Wars again, though.
Right? It just feels good. It feels so good.
Yeah, I feel young again. But man, pull list.
Pull list.
What have you been up to, David?
I got something for you. First off, just continue our journey here. I have Star Wars Kanan.
Oh yeah, you're telling me about that.
I bought the hardcover. So this is like a collection of what there was two books. The first one was called The Last Padawan, and then the one after that is I think was just called Kanan. It's the complete story though. It's all the Kanan issues put together. I'm about halfway through it, and the whole first part is literally Kanan's origins, like from the moment Order 66 happens. So
Nice.
like him escaping the Empire and kind of becoming a smuggler, becoming a Han Solo-esque character. And then the second part of the book takes place like with the whole Ghost crew, like Ezra included. And I guess
Oh,
it's just
cool.
supposed to be somewhere early on in the story.
Mhm.
I'm not that far in yet to that part, but it seems like Ezra doesn't have a lightsaber yet, so it's got to be very early in Rebels. Um, but I just got to say, Kanan's also. I mean, I said Ahsoka was the best like EU character, and I definitely stand by that. But is like one of my favorites for sure. And if you don't agree with me now, man, just wait till you finish watching Rebels, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, what is happening?" Because the best Kanan moments haven't happened yet.
Nice.
Um,
I respect him already. I think he's a great character from the start.
yeah,
Because especially that final battle towards the end of season one with Inquisitor. Man, there's some cool stuff that
yes,
go on there. Yeah.
yeah. The Inquisitor stuff's pretty cool. Um, Kanan also. Well, just this is another thing about Rebels, just real quick. It's got such a Firefly vibe to it. It's like here's
Oh
the crew.
wow.
Here's
Yeah.
the crew of the Firefly. The ship even looks kind of like the Firefly.
I
It's
could
got
totally
that.
see that.
It's got that same like back door that opens up and the little pod on top.
Hmm.
I think there's a lot of inspiration there. And then this is kind of this was my pull list, but also sort of a plug for the other stuff coming up on the channel. But I just finished reading Django.
Oh, how was it?
Man, I gotta say it's pretty good. I don't know if it would be worth us doing an episode on. Like
Honorable mention.
honorable mention. So here's what the Django comic's all about. It's 7 issues, and it is based on the first draft of the Tarantino screenplay of
Oh,
Django
wow.
Unchained. So
How different
there's
is it?
not that different. So see,
Okay.
that's the way that it's like advertised.
Hmm.
Get to see the complete Django, and you're like, oh, awesome! What's going to be different? And then there's maybe like half a comics issue worth of new material, and it's all like in one chunk.
Yeah.
So most of it, you read the first 4 issues, and you're like, this is almost word. Well, it literally is word for word of the movie because it's the script.
Yeah.
Then you get to issue 4, and have you seen Django Unchained? I'm
Yeah,
assuming you
it's
have.
been years, but yeah, I remember it for a good
I
chunk.
I gotta say, so on the channel, we're putting out a podcast ranking the Tarantino movies, and rewatching Django, I remember liking it when it was in theaters, but rewatching it this time, it's so like it's just epic. It's so much more epic than I remember it being. I
Hmm.
really really liked it the second time. Um, but anyways, Django's like looking for his wife, and his wife was purchased by Leonardo DiCaprio, who
Yeah.
plays that slave trader in Django. Um, Basically, there's a brief moment before she's bought by DiCaprio that she's sold to this other guy who's really nice to her and treats her really well, and he's actually like in love with her. Um, but then Calvin Candy, the name of DiCaprio's character, he wants her, so he tricks him through like a card game that he cheats at to win her, and then she ends up leaving that guy. That's it. That's like the major scene that was cut out of Django Unchained that you had to buy all 7 issues to read.
Oh my
But
gosh.
what is cool is that at the beginning, yeah, and you know what? Are you going to put the video up for this, or is it just going to be audio?
Probably just be audio, but if you send me pictures, I'll post it up
Yeah.
on the gram.
Okay, well maybe I will. The beginning starts off, and I'm just going to open this so you can see what's going on here, with like almost a golden age western feel to the
Huh.
book,
Nice, yeah.
which is cool because a lot of inspiration for Django is like those old school westerns, so they're
Yeah.
kind of, you know, giving a tip of the hat to that.
That's
But as the
cool.
book goes on, the art style gets lazier and lazier, and by the end, it doesn't have that same character. It's super inconsistent. And the artists
Wow.
are the same. I don't understand it. Maybe they were rushed to put it out or something. But
Maybe. Or maybe it
it
was just like, all right, this is
all right,
crap.
whatever. Let's finish this
No
book.
one's buying
Yeah,
this anyways, or
let's move on to the next project. Yeah.
well, you got like
And
a stack of issue ones for free at one point, didn't you?
yeah, well, I when I used to work at FYE, it was like if you reserved Django on Blu-ray, we gave you a free issue 1. That's why mine says free up in the corner. Um, and then after Django was done, we had like 40 of them sitting under the register, and I was like, "You mind if I take these? I'll just give them to some friends." Which is what I always said when we had freebies at work, and then I would just end up with like, and I couldn't give them away, man. I was like, "You want a Django comic? I'm all right, man."
Yeah, it took me
like,
a couple times for you to like sneak it into my stack
like,
of stuff.
you sure you don't want one? Give them out. So you know what? Send us a comment, and I'll send you an issue copy of Django issue 1. Comment your address, and I'll ship you a free copy. You got to share the video though, or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make you jump through some kind of hoop. But anyway, the last thing about this Unchained book is like reading Tarantino's words and seeing Christoph Waltz or Leonardo DiCaprio perform them. It's like, man, this is not like my imagination is not as good as Christoph Waltz's acting. That's the problem. And I read the book and I hear their voices and stuff, but some of the dialogue it doesn't work without that, without just the, especially DiCaprio, how totally insane he is in that movie.
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
work the same. And then of course this is what I'm starting right now. I'm reading a little bit of issue 1. It's
Oh, I've heard of that.
yeah, Django Zorro. It's just a crossover between these two characters. Zorro's like a very old man at this point,
Oh,
and
cool.
Django's just out of Django Unchained. When looking up all the Tarantino movies, this is actually listed as a movie in pre-production, or not pre-production, announced, I think. It's on IMDb under Tarantino's director's credits. It's like the top thing right now.
Huh.
So I honestly, I don't think it'll ever happen. Maybe an animated movie would come out or something
That'd
like
be
that.
cool. That'd be super cool.
But I don't see it being a feature film. I think people would really laugh at it or something.
Yeah, because it's when did Django come out?
2012 or something like that.
Yeah, right. It's been a while, so it's kind of like maybe if it happened sooner, it could have been pretty cool. You know, 2000, 3 years later or something. But I can see it's like going to go see the new Avatar movies. That yeah,
Yeah, people are gonna be like, "What? I don't know." 2012, yeah, Django Unchained.
Okay.
Yeah, but 2022, Django Zorro. It's listed up here. Writers
Wow.
Gerard Carmichael for the screenplay.
Well, maybe.
And he's only done like live action movies. He hasn't done work on animated features. We'll have to see what happens here.
Hmm.
My money's on it doesn't get made. And then last thing, I just downloaded. I haven't even got to play it yet. It's literally what I'm going to do when I leave this right now. I downloaded Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. It's a
Oh,
PlayStation
nice.
VR game.
Hmm.
It was on Oculus Rift, just like this Vader thing, and they ported it to PlayStation. And I am so stoked. Apparently, it's like set in New Orleans, and everything you have is in your backpack, and you have to like literally with the controller like reach behind you
Oh,
and
wow.
like pull the thing out, and it's like it's like a lot of inventory. It seems like an old school survival horror game, sort of akin to like Resident Evil, like old Resident Evil. You
Uh-huh.
only have so many resources, you have to like really watch your health. But you can like grab a zombie's head with one controller and like stab it with a screwdriver with the other controller.
Oh,
I don't know.
wow.
I'm super stoked. I can't wait to play it. It's got great reviews. It's like the best reviewed Walking Dead game ever because there's some stinkers out there.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'll let you guys know next week.
Dude, I would love to check that out. That sounds so
Yeah.
cool.
It's gonna be. I'm
I saw
excited.
that they're doing that one story that Brian K. Vaughan did, the Walking Dead one. They're putting it to a hardcover, like a deluxe hardcover
Huh.
format. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. So if you want to keep an eye out for that, I think that'd be
It-
pretty exciting.
Is that the one? What is it?
It's like
Oh,
called
it's the one we
Aliens
talked about
something.
before.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Or no,
yeah.
it's the one shot that I mean we have talked about it before, but it's a one shot that came out I think towards the end of Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's about Rick's brother, is what it is.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. If that's the same one shot we're talking about, it takes place in like Italy or something like that. It takes
think
place
so.
in Europe. It's okay. I would just say all the one shots in Walking Dead have been disappointing.
Yeah.
None of them feel like, oh, this was worth it.
And
The
then I
Negan
guess
one's probably the best.
Brian K. Vaughan's the only one that's done anything else in that universe besides Kirkman.
Kirkman, I think so.
Wow.
Kirkman's
Wow.
really held the reins.
Yeah.
Like no one came in to guess right Walking Dead. It was just Kirkman.
Damn, that's crazy. Oh, that's super cool.
That's him, man. Weirdo. What about you? What's on your pull list, man?
I have been. I think I've really just been reading Star Wars comics. I'm on the Knights of the Old Republic series because I know Revan pops up in it.
Mm.
Yeah, I've never read them, and I've seen them since I was a kid. So I'm checking those out right now. I'm only on issue like 9. Because I was trying to get to that point because it was like Revan's first appearance in the comics, and it's like him in a cloak, and he's talking to the Jedi Council, and he walks away, and that's
Ah,
it. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So like
boo.
I've been just trying to like rush through it, but now that I passed that point, I'm probably gonna like really invest some time and read into it a bit more.
Hmm,
But dude, Knights of the Old Republic 2 takes up so much of your time. It's
really
just
does.
it's not for one, it's pretty glitchy compared to the first one. It's hard to say which one's better. I feel like the first one had a more concise story, and you kind of knew what was gonna like happen and go on, and you're kind of you're kind of pushing boundaries with some stuff and really revealing characters and whatnot.
Hmm.
This one, you're kind of just like a Jedi that followed Revan, and you were exiled, and now you're back because you're being hunted down because they can sense your force powers and all the other Jedi are dead. So it's kind of
Hmm.
cool because you start off with force powers way faster than the first one. The first one, you're like,
Okay.
30 hours in and you get
Yeah.
force powers,
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I
but
can push people now.
yeah, right. And now that I know how to really navigate my upgrades, like as a kid, you're just like, you don't really know what you're doing. You're just kind of like auto leveling up at a certain
Yeah.
point.
If you don't know how to upgrade your character, you're gonna have a tough time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I've been really working on the customizations, and dude, I just use force shock for everything. Just kill people with force like
Just zapping
powers.
everyone.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
Do you scream unlimited power every time that you do it? You should.
No, but I do the force scream that we never see. You know that's a power? Yeah, it's a force scream, and he does like a ah. Like,
Oh,
it's
that's
ridiculous.
hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. I just
Imagine
want to say that.
Imagine in episode 9, instead of like force healing, Ray just force screamed at something. Imagine the public's reaction. Everyone would be like, "What? What is this?"
Yeah, exactly. Um, so it's cool. I mean, it's one of those games where like every single planet takes longer than the one before it. And you're like, am I getting close to the end? Am I in the middle? Like, I now have all my companions, but I'm just like, I feel like we don't know as much as we should. Like, if we're like 3/4 done with this, like,
It sounds like you're watching Death Proof. That's what it sounds like. And I just say that because, yeah, I just finished watching every Tarantino movie, and halfway in Death Proof, you're like, "Is this the end of the movie?"
yeah, yeah, right,
Oh no,
yeah.
it's starting over again. Okay, yeah, let's go through this one more time.
Dude, those two films, the Grindhouse films, are just insane. Like,
I saw Planet Terror for the first time this week, and I was
oh,
like, "This is awful,
yeah,
man."
yeah, it is something else. Those are those
Yeah,
D-rated movies that just like, oh man, but they're fun. I mean, they're
yeah,
definitely a sight to see.
yeah, for sure. It's an unforgettable experience.
Yeah. Well, you know what, dude? I feel like our next episode's gonna be Rebels. I like
Maybe it should be,
just
or just another recommendation. I don't know how good it is, but when I was kind of looking into some Darth Maul stuff, there's a book called Son of Dathomir, comic.
oh,
Um,
I came across that one. Yeah,
yeah, it's supposed to be Darth Maul's origin, like how he met Palpatine and
really.
the Night Mother. You know what I mean? Because it is his mom and everything.
Because the
So,
only other Darth Maul comic I read, it's like a episode 1 tie-in, and
hmm,
it's literally like it's 3 issues of just like stuff where you're like, I don't care. Like he infiltrates Black
yeah,
Sun, which is cool because you hear about
hmm,
Black Sun and he fights him, but he gets like rid of him. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know.
which is weird considering the canon now.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I love Star Wars. Some books though feel like, why am I reading this? There's so many
Yeah,
Star Wars books I've read where I'm like, this is such filler.
and that's why
Um,
like the Dark Horse stuff. It
yeah,
I feel like there's less disappointing stuff there than
they
anywhere. But
took
I
it more
haven't read the new
seriously
ones.
too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
they took it way more seriously.
I'm hearing great
Um,
stuff about the Marvel works, but I just haven't invested the time into it.
well, Kanan's my first one so far, and I gotta say, the writing's not incredible and the art's not incredible or anything, but I've
Mhm.
enjoyed it so far, and we'll see how I feel at the end of it. But it's not. I'm not angry about it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
when I read the prelude to Force Awakens, I was like, this is dumb.
Oh, I never read that.
This is a waste of money. It was the story about the tree.
Oh,
The tree that shows up in Last Jedi that Luke ends up burning. You
yeah.
find out that Luke went back to Coruscant and stole the tree, which is even funnier.
He. All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a whole thing. And then, of course, the people who are with him are Poe's parents because they were in the Resistance. So it's Luke and Poe's parents going back to Coruscant, controlled by the Empire, breaking into the old Jedi temple, stealing the tree, am planning it somewhere else because it's important to the Jedi, and that is the road to Force Awakens. That's that comic book.
One of the Star Wars writers, I think he does Clone Wars, Rebels, maybe both, but he straight up said that he felt that The Last Jedi, he loves Ryan Johnson, and I could see that because I want to see Knives Out. I think that looks like an amazing movie. I heard it's great.
I just bought it.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
Probably gonna watch it tonight.
Let me know because I'm super interested in it. Like he's like, Ryan Johnson does a lot of great stuff, but it seems like he's someone that just didn't do his Star Wars homework. Like if he could have made something great, but it just doesn't look like he understood Star Wars and didn't do his homework well enough. And his argument on why Luke didn't go help his sister just didn't resonate. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah, that part feels pretty strange to me. I mean, I kind of like the dark Luke thing, but a lot of it didn't feel convincing. And maybe they need to, if they're going to let someone direct a Star Wars movie like Taika Waititi, maybe they need to give him like a 200 question, test.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
How much of Star Wars do you really know? And are we going to trust you?
Yeah. And I feel like I would trust him a lot because, he pulled, now that I've read World War Hulk, great way to combine it with some other stuff going on. Great way to, combine the Kirby stuff into all that. Like, granted, I just don't think I'm a big fan of the Marvel films because I feel like I say it with every film that I didn't like it that much, Like they're all pretty cool.
It's funny that you didn't like Ragnarok though. That one is so good compared to some of the other ones.
Oh, it's definitely way better than the other ones. I just didn't like it. I don't know if it's the Thor or I don't know if it's like the Hulk. I just didn't like some of that forced Marvel humor, Disney humor. I think that's what really gripes me,
Well, I gotta really recommend 2 Taika Waititi movies. What We Do in the Shadows is incredible. That movie is so funny, and you should check that out.
I heard that, and Jojo Rabbit's amazing.
Jojo Rabbit's my second one, man. Jojo Rabbit is an emotional roller coaster. It's a great movie.
I can't wait to check that out. Yeah, and he plays Hitler, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does play Hitler.
That's great. But he seems like a great guy. Just it's just the Marvel formula they have going on. I just haven't been crazy about it.
I can understand that. I mean, they are so formulaic.
Yeah.
Like, you feel how each one is kind of the same thing, more or less.
Yeah.
As the last one.
They all just every time I walk out, it's like cool, and then I think about it. I'm like, you know what? It's cool that it was made. That's like the cool part about it.
There's only a few that I just really didn't like. Most of them, I'm like, okay. I'm down with this. And so then some of them, the best ones, I'm like, this is fantastic. Like Civil War or like Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier's so good.
Yeah, Winter Soldier's great. The Guardian stuff, great.
Yeah, the Guardians movies are ridiculous. Yeah, those are great.
It's just like a small chunk of that whole list of films.
Yeah, there's like the Thor ones are forgettable.
Yeah.
Iron Man is up and down.
Iron Man's cool because it was the first one, and then the other 2 I could forget about.
Yeah,
like
2 and 3 are
immediately.
like, nah.
Yeah. We could rant about the Marvel movies for a while.
Yeah, we better end now before we start a second podcast. Right?
Yeah. Well, let's see you guys next week. We have a bunch of content coming out. Keep an eye out on the channel. We have some new the whole entire David Franken Beans is going under like this cool little revamp.
That's true.
Yeah, we all kind of had
different things right now.
Yeah, a lot of things are changing up, a lot of experimentation, a lot of new stuff coming at you guys. I have some more friends coming on to Apollo City Comics, just because we have so much going on around the channel and everything. It's going to be really exciting. Keep an eye out for those. That's it. I mean, like, subscribe, share, please comment. Yeah. We'll take any recommendations, or maybe we won't, but we'll try to take them into consideration.
But we'll definitely think about it.
Yeah, definitely go in the bucket. Well, thanks for hanging, David. And I feel like our next episode's gonna be Rebels, so I can't wait. And dude, I'll try to beat Clone Commandos by then too.
Oh, let's see. Let's see who gets there first.
Right. Thanks for hanging, David.
All right, man.